But did you guys feel something in the air for this one, or just nothing?
You're performing as fans?
Feeling something, but not what Johnny's up to. Talk about aliens. We got ghosts going on the desk. Chat, 8% for Valiant. They're believers. Maybe it's just their favorite shade of blue. I don't know. What do you think, Rose?
I mean, I'm down for the Valiant shade of blue. If I had to pick one, I think it'd be Valiant's blue over the Boston blue. But I live in Boston now, so that's conflicting. I don't like that question.
I don't know, but I gotta agree, like, logically, you would put the dollars on Boston, right? The experience, the wealth of just knowledge that these players have, the mechanics next level. You look at LA Valiant, where a lot of these players, this is their first Overwatch League team. This is their first season.
Their first season, but they're still just having a great time. You even heard it from that interview that Danny conducted, that Valiant are they're here, they want to enjoy the game, they really respect their opponents in Boston Uprising, and I'm so excited to see what that means they bring to the table, because I'm very intrigued at that last sentence too. What are they cooking? What are they cooking?
Because you can cook all kinds of stuff on Control. This is where you're gonna see the wackiest of whack. But what's wacky too is just LA Valiant. They don't seem to have that identity, right? This is not a meta that fits them perfectly. Like Crawley coming out as an off tank, having to play a Winston meta against like some of the best Winstons in the world in the West. That's a tough ask. I like that Valiant, though. They have mad respect for Boston. They're also very nice. I would expect that at least from Seeker, my fellow Canadian.
But what is it that they say? The Canadians are very polite, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you all are very polite. Every Canadian I've run into is definitely like that.
Just don't be mean, game. Then we'll keep up that stereotype. Where Jake seemed to think that there's going to be a lot of chatting.
I mean, there is some. I don't know what these years are talking about. That moved very fast. So let's go move into the game, because apparently it's 1937 somewhere for someone. But it is definitely 2023 when you take a look at these compositions. It's Silver Tracer Dive all the way. And based on how Boston Uprising have been playing with this composition, they look in a great position to take this first round if they can keep up their positioning at the moment. And if Birdgrin can actually access the back line.
So far, Boston are getting the cap through. Yeah, it was beautiful anti by Twilight. Liar is down, and CJ can't do all of that healing by himself. So Boston are going to see if they can hunt for more kills. And this is also a different approach from Valiant, who last time on Busan Sanctuary actually preferred the Junker Queen and some Cassidy action. So Valiant are going through different strategies.
Kind of hoping we'd see that again here. Just leaning a little bit more into their comfort and trying to beat the Boston Uprising at their own game. But we got the Summer EMP starting to come online. The Winstons trying to get in there. Decay, though, having the time of his life already. Gotta have a pulse bomb up before we even see a nano. It is so rare to see that, I feel like, nowadays, just given how much impact these Anas are having in this meta.
Yeah, Boston just picking up this new coach in Curry, right? Giving that player perspective has been important. And look how much more structured Boston are. They collapse on Crawley's dive before Valiant could even get set up. And maybe Crawley is a little bit too eager, needs to maybe wait for Seeker to get a hack or for Nos to get into position. And as soon as Valiant lose one, all the dominoes fall after that.
That's something Boston Uprising really have started to get better at. They came into this second half of the season looking so much stronger, and it does come down to that communication and coordination that you can feel with every single dive that they initiate. Valiant have had a hard time getting back into this one, and Birdring looking ready with the EMP is looking at Liar. Definitely looking at Liar.
Yeah, you get the assassination onto Twilight and EMP from Birdring just to make sure that Valiant don't get any momentum from that 5v4. Able to even things up 4v4, but it's 85% with Boston have a bank of ultimates. It's a primal right at the front door from Valiant just to split them up and make sure that if they even try to start that overtime, they're going to be split from each other. EMP from Seeker annihilates Decay. Smurf got hit, but he's nanoed right back on his feet. Lee Jae-gon using the rally to support Smurf with everything they can, and slowly but surely, Boston could be taking this round flawlessly.
Oh, the rally getting popped by Liar just isn't enough sustain to be able to get through the onslaught of Tesla cannon damage coming through from Smurf. And that is the first round captured, and that's 100-0. That is a great way to be able to start this round. And if it wasn't with those final picks, Decay had another Pulse Bomb coming.
Yeah, I mean, Boston, third place in the standings versus Valiant, who find themselves at the bottom. Valiant only having, what, one win in the Summer Qualifiers against, what, Gladiators or something like that. But Valiant have had issues mirroring the double flanker dive, hence why Krawi would like to go to Rush, where he looks better on that, or he wants to go to Diva, something he was best known at in Contenders. So Valiant usually want to avoid that mirror, and I'm surprised they even tried to match it against Boston, who are just that premier dive team.
I think we will see them sway away from that, and this is the perfect round to do it. You've got the mecha base, these close quarter fights, Birdring picking out the Sojourn, okay, Seeker matching that too. So it's all about this chess match. They're gonna meet each other in the middle. They got the Mei walls coming out already, but let's see where the tides start to turn.
Yeah, first Maywall from Decay used to isolate Krawi, and then Nos used his defensively, but you couldn't stop the paint train. That was the Boston Uprising, who just ran over Krawi, and the rest of Valiant trying to escape. But what I like about Boston's pushes, even on the last map with the different comp, is that once they get one kill, they chase and chase until they almost team wipe, which is so much extra ult charge.
It is, and it's also a great way to be able to ensure that they're getting more capture progress as well. It's not something that they're worried about. They're not worried about the point flipping out from underneath them. As long as they're able to secure those team fight wins, then they're all good. Seeker, though, getting a ton of damage down onto the Boston Uprising. Might be the first one to overclock, but right now it's about Twilight's amplification matrix.
Oh yeah, as soon as Krawi tried to approach on the Ramatra, he had the amp matrix right in his face. And then I think Decay threw a wall sort of at the back end to limit the damage that Seeker and others could do further away from Krawi. So really good division of that fight from Boston Uprising, who are just looking in full control of this map.
They should, too. You talked a little bit about how the Boston Uprising are sitting third in the standings right now and how the converse doesn't look so great for the Valiant. Boston Uprising, by those standards, should be able to grab these rounds and grab these team fights super, super cleanly. And we're seeing that so far. Great mechanic execution, really nice ultimate cycling. It's just been good, clean Overwatch coming out from Boston so far.
Bit of a rough amp matrix from CJ. Should have waited for that Mei wall to be down, but was really antsy to catch Boston while they were out in the open. Even just the friends of Valiant being on the lower side of the map with amp matrix, I want to see them go down main, as this continues to be a struggle for Valiant. They are using ultimates, but it's Uprising having more in the bank. Sound Barrier Blizzard, Nos matches it too, but the Sound Barrier Flyer's not enough to keep Nos alive. And up on the high ground, I believe that's Twilight. So they just have Boston have safe heals, safe damage coming from multiple angles, and Valiant haven't been able to get really a first blood or a fight in their favor at all.
Well, they got one. That's a great start there. We're going to see a couple more potentially fall, but Birdring is going to be able to get back so quickly to that point. Let's see how they are able to touch too. Valiant are starting to run out of time.
Last touch there by Seeker. Krawi's trying to take the attention away, but there's just no shot. Boston have Birdring posting up on the point. And I was expecting Valiant to have a better showing on the rush. You and I even talked before the show that Krawi seemed more solid, more comfortable in the Ramatra, but clearly against Boston, they're just a different beast. That's a 2-0 and a 200-0 win for Boston.
Super decisive, super, super well organized. This is what you should come to expect from the Boston Uprising roster. What a fantastic way to start off the series, especially after they had such a close loss to the Florida Mayhem earlier on. Last week was a little rough there at the end. That was a close 5-mapper, and you know that they're trying to show everybody that they are still the top 3 team, and without question.
Quick reactions from Decay. Krawi was unsuccessful on the dive, just taking too much pressure too soon, and not sure kind of what was that window of opportunity for Krawi. Was it Seeker, Nos getting into position? Valiant have to make sure that when they coordinate the dive, that there is a purpose, and there's maybe a low target, reacting to an anti from CJ, who didn't have the best amp matrix, which was one of the win conditions on mecha base. Boston, obviously, I didn't think that Valiant were going to win the dive mirror, but the Ramatra mirror, I was thinking it could go either way, cope a little bit, but Valiant just just couldn't get anything done.
That was super rough for them, but maybe the map pool moving down the line is going to favor them a little bit more as we take a look at what could be coming up next. Maybe more Ramatra, maybe some Junker Queen. I think that could absolutely be on the table looking at Midtown.
Yeah, I definitely think Junker Queen could be a good speedy rush option if you want to chase down some of this dive of Boston, but they obviously are avoiding Krawi at all costs. They don't want to get to Krawi, they want to get to the backline, and Boston are just one of the best at executing the dives because of their purpose, their goals in these. But Boston may have started off 200-0, but how will they end? You'll find out on the other side of this break.
Hi guys, we're here. We're gonna cast the rest of this match. We'll see.
We'll see.
Some minor technical issues.
well,
We're always ready. We're born ready, right, Johnny?
Yeah, we'll cast for the next 2 minutes and then see what happens after 2 minutes. Right?
Yeah. Well, you know.
You're very optimistic.
Once you know, it's my birthday, Johnny. I gotta. Maybe this is.
Happy birthday, Jake!
I love casting, man.
Woo! You got to cast with me for your birthday, Jake.
I'm sorry. Let's do it. I think it'll be a fun duo.
Yeah.
We can test our synergy we built over the year in the desk.
I mean, you're very optimistic. I think they'll throw us off on camera like in 5 minutes, but
Well, you know, we'll work with what we got. You know, that's all you can ask for. In
Yeah,
the Overwatch
so
League.
I guess we kind of have to explain that Lemon Kiwi and Necrot are having some tech issues.
Yeah.
And so here we are.
We can't stall the players all day. You know, we get them back in the match, get again. I mean, that was a brutal map one though for the LA Valiant. They're going to be hurting after that one. 200-0.
I'm questioning my paranormal activity after that one.
Yeah, whatever vibes you were off. You got to consult. You got to get an exorcism or something, man. That's not right. You're off. But maybe they can recover. Hopefully.
Maybe. I mean, I think we're going over to Midtown.
Little change up.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of like Valiant's comfort zone as well. Like that is a map that if you are the Valiant, you kind of want to go to Midtown, I guess. And
they might bring out a rush here and just something to change the pace because you could dive Mare on this map, but after that map one, do you have the confidence to do it?
I think you have to. Like, I don't think you have a choice. Like, are you going to put Krabi on Winston or something? I think, you know, it's something they've done before, but their comfort is definitely putting Seeker onto the Sojourn and then Krabi's rolling out on Winston. But putting Krabi on the Sojourn and having, or Krabi on the Ramato rather, and Seeker onto the Sojourn.
I was going to say, you'll put the Krabi on the Sojourn, like, let's go, baby. Like, that's a pop-off. Yeah, but I think you're right. I think Valiant is a team that, you know, as much as they have a little bit of, they've had some success with Seeker's Sojourn, I don't think that that's defining them as a team. They have a lot of flexibility, especially Lyre and CJ on the support. I think these guys look really, really strong, having great breakout performances in the Overwatch League this year. Even though the season hasn't gone their way, they are part of this new breed of support players who can play everything. Smurf taking a call real quick. You know, we gotta, you know, somebody tell me something. Give me anything, Valiant. Make this interesting for us. I think he's calling in for reinforcements for them.
For them, indeed. So the Valiant,
ambulance, but not for me.
They're rolling out on Lifeweaver? No, I'm just kidding. They're rolling out on the Sombra Tracer after all. Do you want to expand on like why you don't see the Sojourn as really a viable option here for Seeker?
I think it's just too hard to get in on this offense. Like, how do you charge up those rails? You know, I think the Summer is a smarter choice, but Boston are so good at this comp.
Yeah, I mean, they're really smart. They're really smart, the Boston Uprising. They know when to engage, they know what to look for. They will be looking for these Twilight Biotic Grenades, for example, to be a tool you can engage with. Birdring is really proficient when it comes to the manual hacks, and so they're just holding the position on defense right now, just waiting to see what the Valiant are doing, and then they can react accordingly, right?
Smurf so low, he does get picked off now. That's going to start this offense for Valiant. Krabi's naded, he's dropping super low, but CJ just barely able to keep him alive, and Valiant, they're going to start capturing the point. Boston holding on really well, though, trying to maintain position. Krabi overextends and gets cut down. That should secure the retake for the Uprising. Just one little mistake, one little overextension, it costs you everything against a team like the Uprising.
Yeah, it's suddenly even, and Smurf is already back on the point, right? So Smurf is now pushing aggressively with the Sombra and the Tracer, and they're just going to clean out the Valiant here. There you go, one mistake.
That's a rough misstep because CJ went for the nade on those high ground players, but Lee Gon, you know, was very ready, blocked the nade, and then the dive came in sort of just after that. It's very odd timing, right? When the nade misses, that means you don't have a nade defensively on Winston. So kind of a rough mistake from Krabi, definitely an unforced error there.
And how many of those mistakes are you going to get, right? If you're the Valiant, you need to capitalize on those mistakes, but like how many more mistakes are you going to get with Smurf dying first in each fight, right? So the Valiant, they'll have to start a new Seeker, has this EMP, so this could be an engaged condition. There you go. That's Birdring actually, popping his.
But no follow-up on it. Yeah, because Krabi was completely shutting down the enemy backline. He does get naded and punished for it, but it's going to be hard to get more. I think Valiant are going to be able to kind of hole up in this corner on the right side of the map. Boston, they don't want to chase too far into the spawn, get overextended, get caught out, play this defense. So in the end, it ends up being a decent EMP, but this is surely Valiant's moment. They've got all the tools necessary to win this.
Yeah, they have all the tools necessary, so we'll be following Seeker here. They found a Translocator, so...
Birdring making his play.
There you go. This should be the time. Birdring needs to go down here, and he will.
Yeah, great play there. Having the patience, even with the big bank of ultimates, and Legion getting heavily pressured on the point. Still, though, Valiant, they've got to move fast. Decay missing the pulse. It's going to cost them. This should be the cap. Whoa, Twilight, what are you doing over here?
Twilight's down, and they're just going to follow up here and just pick them off one by one. Smurf is not boosted. Might have a Primal ready for this. Birdring can potentially touch. And he will indeed, hacking CJ there with an auto boost. So they are touching. No skulls down.
Huge kill.
Smurf is going to pop this Primal Rage maybe. They're investing.
This is like a crazy fight to attempt to clutch. Like, I don't think you could ever win this against Rally. You just lost your Brig. I mean, is this a little bit of hubris from Boston? But they're believing in it, though.
Yeah, I mean, you need to believe, Jake. You need to believe. but it's not going to be enough. It's going to be the Valiant cleaning up there, utilizing CJ's nano-boost. But a lot of ultimates committed there from the Valiant, so it's an expensive fight after all. I don't think you're too unhappy investing the Primal Rage if you're Boston Uprising after all. You did get out the nano-boost, so...
Yeah, ends up being good.
But, you know, that is also what separates a team like the Boston Uprising from the rest is there's the all chat for you.
It's that he's born August 29, 2007 as a Korean.
2007? That's crazy. Wow, what a sleep on the Seeker as well. But always investing, like, recognizing that you can turn these fights around. I mean, that is just an incredible skill from the Boston Uprising. So it didn't work out for them there, but they're a team that like never surrenders a fight. They don't give up these fights and they don't go out.
Yeah, it means
easily.
For Valiant, you're always going to be second-guessing yourselves. Boston, though, this is a very hard setup to break. A lot of teams have fallen at this point in the map. So I wonder for Valiant, how do you open this up? You've got Krawi's Primal, but Twilight has been so clean with these sleeps.
He's going for it. That's a fearless Primal if I've ever seen anything, except Krawi got swept this time, and he's being very targeted. Now, he did make some space for his team, but like, what are you doing with this? The Valiant are not capitalizing. Yeah, he had to retreat immediately, so the Valiant invested Primal, but they don't have any space and no tools to engage with until Seeker builds his EMP.
And if Valiant don't walk up, Birdwing's never going to be forced to do anything, but as soon as they overextend, we are going to see a huge EMP dive coming in. Looks like Birdwing wants to hit the back line. Beautiful. And the follow-up is just absolutely immaculate there. Smurf dives in and still lives on Smurf, though. Crucially, you don't want to lose any players on this defense.
But like, it's one pick, right? It's one pick and the fight is over. Like, we recognize that we killed the Ana. I mean, Brigitte Hills is not going to be enough for the Valiant to turn things around. So find the one pick and then the Valiant are forced to push back. So very smart.
Yeah, Seeker's turn on the EMP here is going to have to find something big, but the problem is for these attackers, you do not want to be getting traded out, right? This Smurf going to probably take a nano boost here, potential Primal to follow that up. It's so hard to keep your backline alive, so Lyra and CJ, they've got to
This is just so
cautious.
far, though. Like, you can't really EMP here, but it's going to be tough to follow up. Seeker does find one.
And Nano's missed. That's a huge mistake from Twilight.
Yeah, Seeker is slept, so Seeker does get away. Boston Uprising holding their ground. So they will be surrendering some space here, and the Valiant have a chance to maybe hold this high ground. Lyra's coming up on that rally as well as CJ having a nano boost. So they have the support tools to really hold this ground here for the Valiant now. You can't let this positioning go.
Oh, but the backline dive comes in. Lyra rallies, but everyone else is falling around him. He's the only one left, and Smurf's just wondering if he's got any support coming in. Looks like not to win that 1v1 against the Brig rally. But this is going to be, once again, Boston. Like, no matter what happens, they get traded, they lose Nano and the Brig, and they're still holding this position. The cart progress is not coming through. There's just a difference in skill right now.
Yeah, the attack has really stalled here, and we've got 15 seconds left on the timer. I mean, LA Valiant, they have to build some kind of momentum here. CJ has this nano boost, but again, like every time you have to re-engage in these fights, it takes so much time to perhaps win the Tracer duel a little bit, invest into Krawi to get some space for you. It takes so much time and resources really to build any kind of space on the second point here.
Yeah, and they're taking such a slow route, electing to go high ground together to push out Smurf. But I mean, he's not even scared about this.
He doesn't really care.
He's going to sit here all day, get on a hill. You can't get out that door. So just a misread from Valiant, thinking that would work, but they're just completely wrong. And Birdwing's EMP. This could be the end of the game right here.
Oh, this might be it. There's the EMP. CJ's down. Does get the nano boost off, but you need some trades here if you're the Valiant. This is going to be a tough one. You got no support on your team anymore.
Yeah, this is done for. Smurf with an easy cleanup. Tons of ults in the bank for Boston. Not even really a close round, frankly. Krawi, yeah, no shot.
No shot, indeed. I mean, that just really highlights how good the Boston Uprising are. They're finding the crucial picks and really the trades to hold their ground in these fights, to stick around, really, make it difficult for the Valiant. And it's going to be a really nice defense from the Boston Uprising.
Yeah, and although some of those EMP dives were good from the Valiant, they were finding backliners, making pressuring Twilight and Lee Jae-gon to make some mistakes, catching them out. But Decay and Birdwing, it felt like they never died in that hole. They were just constantly pressuring the flanks, always, like never losing duels. And I think that's one of those crucial elements of this comp. As Tracer Sombra, you have to be counter-pressuring your opponent, Tracer and Sombra, getting them off those flanks to get your Ana and Brig across the map into positions where they can actually throw nades aggressively, they can actually survive dives because they're in a good position. But against Decay and Birdwing, you can't really fault Seeker and Nas. I mean, these are hard to think of two better Tracer and Sombra players that aren't on the Atlanta arena that used to Almas this season.
Yeah, I guess the point you're trying to make, to say it in different words, is that, like, yes, Krawi, he sort of has to engage aggressively, right? Take some space, contest the backline of the Boston Uprising. But as in Krawi engaging, you're kind of leaving out Lyra and CJ to dry, right? And it's something you have to navigate around, and the Valiant unable to successfully navigate around Birdwing's and Decay's pressure there on the Tracer Sombra. So that is what makes this Boston Uprising so difficult to face.
Yeah, and if anything, this is why I think we've seen London go to the Rush comp, why we've seen other teams bring out Ramatra and Sojourn, is because when you go toe-to-toe in this mirror match, you just get exposed. If there's any sort of difference in skill, coordination, execution on any of these heroes, it's so impactful and it just feels impossible to win, right? Even when you have the ultimates, even when you have everything in your advantage, it just doesn't go your way. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Boston have a great attack here, just off of the back of Birdring and Decay. Decay especially, I think, is such a crucial player, winning his duels almost constantly.
Yeah, and if you have a Tracer player that always wins these Tracer duels, I mean, you get so much space, essentially, just based on mechanical skill, right? And that's going to help you set up these dives. So Smurf chilling for the moment, and you can see Decay sort of like trying to clear this angle with the help of Twilight heals and Legion Gun packs and trying to take that duel versus Nos. So Smurf's going to go in, utilizing the Fire Truck to sort of mitigate some of this damage as they take some space here. So the Valiant under a lot of pressure right now. The sleep of the Twilight, that might be an engage condition.
Yes, a giant sleep there, but Liar is traded. Boston definitely still going to fight this out in a 4-on-4. Both teams low HP, but CJ should be able to do a little bit more in the auto, but Decay, disgusting one clip.
He's so good.
Gets Seeker as well. Come on, Decay.
He's
Give
so
them a
good.
chance.
It's such like an advantage for the Boston Uprising to have this guy, have Decay always be pounding on the Tracer. So good mechanically, and it just gives them a leg up on their opposition every single time.
Yeah, so as much as we can look at those dives from Krabi and say, oh, he's not finding that value. I mean, it's because Nos just can't get a word in edgewise against Decay. Decay is just running this team over, frankly. And I mean, that's just, it's a very hard thing to deal with. This Tracer is such a dominant hero in the comp. He is hacked, but it gets the instant pack from Lee J gone. There's just a network of support around him.
Krabi's going to go down, and this is looking like a snowball, Jake. I mean, you're going to go up here. Decay has a pulse bomb, and if he finds a stick with this one, it might be over.
We just leave it on the Decay cam. I'm pretty sure we can watch the end of the game from this cam. We'll see.
This is why he gets player of the match, by the way. If you guys were ever curious at home, this is why he gets player of the match. Just this all the time.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
He's so high impact and he's so hard to kill. EMP does catch Decay, but it's Smurf who gets focused down first. Twilight as well finished off. So it is going to be a nice hold for the Los Angeles Valiant. Still going to maintain some sort of hope here, but the dive ultimates are so stacked, right? Legion Gun doesn't have rally, yes.
How do you do this, Jake? How do you do this? CJ has a nano boost. How do you use this?
I mean, the pressure, I think you have to nano defensively here. I think you have to nano and sort of nullify this EMP pulse bomb. I think nanoing aggressively is going to be really difficult in this spot.
Oh.
But Birdring's already dead, so they're going to force the dive, but no Tracer. I mean, this is going to be fruitless. This is game over. It's all right. Decay is going to count. Oh god.
Touch.
Oh god. Oh.
That was a map, Jake.
It was a map. Are we in speedrun territory, Johnny? I think we might be in a speedrun territory.
I mean, do you remember those old San Francisco Vancouver matches in 2020, 2021? That was brutal.
Yeah, I mean, this is bad though, right? This is 200-0 caught. That's a rare occurrence. The actual you never capped a point. They did cap A, but they were on attack first, right? So we got that very quick round.
If you're talking this year,
yeah,
I could say it's in contention for the fastest match.
This year,
yeah, all time.
I got the memory of a goldfish, man.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened last year.
But this match, I mean, yeah, it's been very quick indeed. I mean, the Boston Uprising, they get the chance to play the Winston compositions, Decay on the Tracer. Birdring done a fantastic job with the EMPs on the Sombra, right? So, as I said, like going into the match, this is Boston Uprising on their comfort heroes. This is what they played all season. This is probably what they're going to play all season because they have 5 players on their signature heroes and they're all incredibly good at them. So, the Valiant, uphill battle, down 0-2, going up at them on Dorado.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see if the Los Angeles Valiant have anything left in their bag of tricks. Maybe a Seeker hit scan. Well, I think it's going to be a tough one regardless. Great play from the Boston Uprising. Don't stay anywhere. We'll be back right after this break.
Wings out.
Well, thank you for the break, Johnny and Jake.
Sorry.
Hello, sorry. We were just taking our, mid-match break here. Apologies for the tech issues. But hey, it was a quick one. Fun Midtown.
That was a fun Midtown, and it is a fast match right now. We are sitting at like 15 minutes of Overwatch played just based on our first 2 maps alone, and so we may very well be setting that record for the fastest match played in this season. I think one of the fastest ones was actually 24 minutes, which somehow Circuit Royale between Atlanta and Toronto exceeded. I don't even know how that happened, but yeah, either fastest map or match or however you want to look at it might happen. We're going to Dorado next.
Okay, well, here's the Valiant cope that I can present at least.
Okay.
Dorado,
I need it.
pretty strong map for Valiant. If you remember how they played this against the London Spitfire, they full held London on the defense and proceeded to win. Yes, they lost 3-1. That's not the point. The point was they looked good on this map.
I thought Liar and Twilight liked each other.
Not in game. Maybe out of game.
Okay, that's fair. I lied. So handsome. Okay, it's all a ploy. It's a false sense of security.
Wasn't there some old strategy? I forgot which Overwatch person said this. Something about kissing the enemy. And then this was like how to distract them from plays. This was like an old Overwatch meme.
I'm remembering, yeah, you have to kiss your homies on LAN.
Yeah. And Liar's
Exactly.
like looking up everyone's like Wikipedia profiles just to confirm when they were born and that they're Korean, I guess. There's
I'm
a
not.
lot to dissect here.
There's too much happening in the all chat right now, but that was what we were promised in this amazing match we've got so far as... man, I would have loved to see the Nos Widowmaker. I feel like Nos and Seeker have been able to show up in their previous matches, and maybe another coin to the hopium is that they've really been showing up on those DPS picks. Whether it's been the hit scan, Seeker and Nos have really been helping the team get some huge picks and also just those map wins under their belt and even that match win over the Gladiators. This time around, it's so tough to be able to stand toe-to-toe with Decay and Birdring, especially when they're going to be on the defense, looking at your backline, looking at Crawley. Just everything feels like it's going right for the Boston Uprising right now.
I like that Crawley's coming back for his backline though, and Boston Smurf is placing that bubble right in main. Crawley's coming back, because sometimes as the Winston, you could try to go for a counter dive to see if you can trade backlines a bit quicker, or you could try to fall back and see if you can force the enemy Winston off of your backline. Either way, Valiant aren't getting much headway. You see Crawley going to the top right, maybe trying to react to a hack from Seeker. That's taken a while to set up. Meanwhile, Decay throws a pulse that doesn't connect, but now that's one less thing for Valiant to worry about.
Another tool out of the back pocket, but they're not worried about the pulse bomb. They should be worried about that EMP. Not a great way for them to be able to stave that off when Liar doesn't have the rally up yet. You just have the ability to play around these buildings, but even then, hope that they can initiate the pace here as Crawley gets the nano.
Yeah, great shield bashed out from Lijegon to reposition away from the Nano Winston. Crawley didn't have that jump, wants to save it to get out. Meanwhile, Birdring hits a massive EMP on the supports of Valiant, who just couldn't follow up to save Crawley, to support him. And Seeker's just so tremendously behind on that EMP charge too, I think half as fast as Birdring.
Seeker's had a tough time being able to get access to the backline, which is why that charge is so far behind. Even there, look at how quickly he got chunked down before having to translocate away onto a health pack. It's gonna happen again. Seeker's just constantly trying to get that EMP online, but not before Boston Uprising could strike first. Twilight has another nano online, and we're gonna end up seeing Smurf with the Primal Rage too. Really tough position for Valiant to be in right now as Seeker is still looking at trying to get the EMP online for the first half.
Oh, Crawley panicked. He was getting chunked by Decay and decides to jump in and didn't pop the Primal in time. Not sure if just didn't felt confident to start a fight off on not their terms, but missed opportunity there for Crawley. And Boston don't even end there. That's a good punish onto Decay. Seeker has EMP. Crawley's gonna have close spawns too. This has to be a window of opportunity for Valiant.
That is the first time Decay has died, by the way, since Busan. So he's gonna come back from spawn now and right into Seeker's EMP.
Will that be enough to kill Decay? Well, maybe the rest are in trouble. Crawley tries to primal. He is slept. He's anti, jumps out at 400 HP. Maybe giving up a little bit too much space there for Valiant, who are having a rally. But in the back is an EMP from Birdring. CJ assassinated, and he got the Nano Smurf. It's just a cherry on top of the pancake, I guess. But Valiant are just having to reset after expending all of their important ultimates.
And they have one final fight to be able to get over that first checkpoint. And with nothing in the bank, Jen, this really could be just a full speed run here from the Boston Uprising to a 3-0 victory. Nos is going to have the pulse bomb. Maybe CJ gets the nano, but Boston Uprising are holding the door when they've got the pulse bomb from Decay.
Nos has to get in a position to touch soon. He's trying to go to that top right where Lijagon was trying to get rid of him. He actually pops the rally just to chase Nos around. Overtime is still in effect. Nos is living for a long time. Finally, Crawley's in the picture. Nano from CJ. The trigger's pulled now. Crawley jumps into the back. Smurf is on a counter dive, and they have Liar and CJ stuck in mini room. So there's just not going to be any support for Crawley. Not that that would work because he got antied there for a second, but Valiant are holding the space that they're taking. That's something that they improved on. They're very close to capping A. Crawley is getting support there from Nos on their dive. Seeker's close to EMP. But without Crawley, Valiant can't give this up. You're going to expend the EMP if you're Valiant. You can't afford to see what the result of a 4v4 is. And with that, you're locked in for point A.
Great capture, and they buy themselves another life in this match. That was so expensive, though. You called out the EMP, the nano, so many ultimates had to be expended at that final fight. And now Boston Uprising get a chance to take the high ground. Crawley is going to contest that, try to push the Boston Uprising back as the cart starts to make its way around this first turn. But Smurf has Primal Rage, and now with 2 minutes left on the clock, Valiant have a lot of work cut out for them.
Birdring ready to hack Nos, who actually blinks right into him. That is the most unlucky blink from Nos. If he would have blinked away, maybe he would have lived, because you only take the abilities away for a second, but that can be a death sentence for a Tracer. Speaking of that, Decay is just delivering death to everybody. Okay, you slept Smurf, maybe Valiant lived, but it's going to be a tough choke for Valiant to get through.
Really rough when you've got Boston Uprising able to play on so much of this verticality. You've got Smurf locking down the top of this archway. Take a look at also where Twilight is positioned along with Lijagon. They're just holding hands up on the high ground. Great vantage point onto Smurf so that Smurf can hold this line. And you also have a full slate of ultimates to work with. Boston Uprising are poised for success as Valiant start to work down to the minute mark.
EMP hits the DPS of Valiant as Uprising just try to stabilize on this high ground. Crawley with the primal pushes Boston from that high ground down, and Crawley might still be trying to pressure these supports. Either way, we're looking through the eyes of Smurf and the rest of Boston, who holds so close to the choke that it makes it hard for Liar and CJ to move through safely. As soon as they do, Decay pulses them. Liar tries to rally to see if he can get a stun onto Decay and at least get a trade, at least get a punish. But it's not working out. Even the counter dives from Crawley are not benefiting them.
When you have to push back one wave, you've got the counter dive, but then you also have to push back a second onslaught. And when you're playing a lot of these 1v1s too, with Decay versus Nos, Birdring versus Seeker, any of that, just Boston Uprising are winning.
Ooh, good EMP from Seeker, though. The supports from Boston in trouble. Without that nano, maybe Crawley doesn't get that cool momentum engage he was looking for. Behind them is Smurf and Decay, though. Crawley is looking for targets, and now Birdring is assassinated Liar. So Valiant has their supports being staggered right now. CJ needs the nano and find some kind of play for Valiant to flourish off of, but the trigger is just not being pulled. Boston are so confident in this meta, in this composition, that Valiant just seems so behind on how to engage and how to approach these fights. Now Valiant, inch by inch, they're moving the cart, but you've nano Decay. I think everyone should run for the hills. This is terrifying.
I would not want to be there either. I mean, Liar had to run away from the cart too when Decay was pulsing him down. That was still a nice cart push there from the Valiant, especially when they had to capture that first point in overtime. But Jen, to your point, with their comfortability with how Boston Uprising are executing these dives, you can see that level of comfort with the way that they actually played out that last fight too. They let Valiant push that cart forward. They didn't care about stopping any of that cart progress. They cared more about staggering the backline of the Valiant as they came back out of spawn. And then all of a sudden, you've got that 2-player advantage. You can clean up the rest of the cart. That was super well executed, and you don't do something that risky if you're not confident in your level of play.
And Nos is someone that on the Tracer, one of the many list of goals that you have as a Tracer is to mark the other Tracer, make them uncomfortable, force blinks, force cooldowns, like the recall. And it felt like Decay went so unchecked. The way that he just positioned defensively at the main archway, and had immediate access to Liar and CJ, hitting pulses every now and then. Smurf is set up there. Krawi was more focused on counter diving, where Seeker isn't, farming these EMPs, making the other supports as uncomfortable, and Nos is not keeping Decay in check. So it is a bit of a DPS Gapplebees happening. So Valiant, if they can step up in that department, Uprising will have to meet their maker.
Whew. I don't know how Valiant get this done. This is looking grimmer and grimmer with every team fight. And across the board, just seeing Boston get the upper hand every single time, whether it's the 1v1s you mentioned, whether it's going to be some of these executions of the dive. Seeker has the Ashe. That's a really nice pick to be able to come out with that Dynamite doing that dot damage across the Boston Uprising. And having the Bob is really nice reinforcement if you feel like the going is getting tough. But Boston are so patient when they play these dives. They need one target that is even micro out of position, and that's the target they jump on, no question.
As long as Seeker plays stacked with his supports, he should be well protected, but Liar's keeping his eyes on Krawi, who dropped down, so Seeker does manage to get a pack eventually, get some healing, but Valiant are so uncomfortable right now. They're already pushing back to the market side, at least that's where the payload has gone through. So Valiant give up that high ground, and this is where Seeker loses that high ground advantage that he had with the Ashe.
Yeah, you maybe go get set up on the stairs right in front of that first point. Ooh. Krawi's already out of here from Decay. That was a whole team effort there, too.
Yeah. Krawi's missing for now. Boston heading towards capping, and just with how far Krawi is, I don't know if Nos wants to put himself in a position to recontest. He does double blink in. Now recalls, it'll be up to Liar or somebody. There's Krawi stepping up, but he's antied on contact. He lives inside of his bubble. The pulse from Nos hits the shield of Lee Jae-gon, who just uses that very well. Nos has to find a creative way to maybe blink past the shield, get it behind. Either way, the fact that Lee Jae-gon didn't even have to pop rally to alpha that entire fight is astounding to me.
Now you've got that rally to be able to close the distance with this cart and close out the match, to be frank. Birdring is also working up to that EMP. That is one way to really just completely stop the Valiant in their tracks. Birdring also, just so you know, has not died this map yet.
Oh. Smurf, well, at least he's nanoed and stuffing Valiant here on this bank side. The supports there from Valiant come out. Thanks to the rally, Liar can try to assert some dominance, get any kind of stuns, but now that that's gone, Smurf comes up and just pummels him to death. Boston are pushing, by the way, and Valiant,
who's gonna touch?
No, it's Nos who blinks on. Liar comes out too. He's rallied. Liar needs the front line more. He's so worried about Decay in the back line, but you needed to worry about the cart. Boston locked in the 3-0.
Oh my goodness, that 3-0. It felt inevitable, but Valiant bringing out the Ashe, I was so hopeful that that would be a way for them to get their legs back in this, get themselves a little bit more progress on the defense there, but at the end of the day, it's Boston Uprising playing the game that they have become so good at. That Sombra dive looked absolutely flawless. I can't believe Decay didn't die in one map, and then all of a sudden Birdring is outliving everybody else too on the next.
Yeah, it's up to Nos to try and put Decay in a cage, right? But like Decay is one of the best tracers in the league, and Nos is, this is his first I think one of his first Overwatch League teams, so still, you know, adjusting to the level of competition that you're seeing here. I was maybe expecting Seeker to do a lot more counter swapping. That was the story of the Valiant, still trying to find their identity. He's played a lot of Cassidy. He tried to go to the Ashe. Clearly, Seeker needs to work on the Sombra, and I don't think they have to conform to that double flanker. There's at least a lot of action in APAC. Think about the Guangzhou Charge, who rely on the Hanzo Tracer. You don't have to play the meta if it doesn't suit you.
And London Spitfire are also a great example. Reinhardt Rush, I wouldn't call that meta by a long shot, but for London Spitfire, that is the perfect composition for them. And I really was hoping to see a bit more of that tank rotation coming out from the Los Angeles Valiant. We saw that in some of their previous matches, even looking back to last week and the week before that, where Crowley was rotating through the Ramatra, the Junker Queen, playing some Winston, playing some Diva, and it felt like they were playing more of their style against other teams on specific maps versus against the team themselves. I would have liked to see more of that today too.
For sure. But someone I want to see a lot more of is our player of the match from Boston Uprising, none other than the Bird King himself. Of course, the DPS gap was massive, but all thanks to these early EMPs that were just catching Valiant off guard even when they were trying to reset.
Birdring was charging up these EMPs so fast, and when you also have your right-hand man beside you, Decay, these EMPs are charging up like absolute lightning. Decay too with the pulse bombs. You can just see how Birdring and Decay are even able to tag team a lot of these picks, but Birdring is also no stranger to doing it by himself. Like, look at that. He soloed Nos, a Tracer of all things. And that was really impressive to watch.
0.4 deaths? Like,
he
seriously?
didn't die on Dorado.
The Boston DPS line just felt untouchable. And even when Seeker went towards the Ashe, like, Birdring was just on him all the time. Also hacking Nos in that replay. Just knew the timing of the hacks, too. Like, what would be his reaction, who would be there to help, and just the moments that these DPS of Valiant were a little bit further away or out of reach or when important cooldowns were out, that's when Birdring struck. And I'm liking that he's just leveling up. He's a very flexible player now, and especially on the Sombra, that's what Boston needed.
Absolutely. And when you take a look at how Boston Uprising also approach any of the other meta compositions that they like to run, it doesn't even have to be the Sombra, but Birdring always showing up and always improving as well. We had some questions, I feel like, when he came back into Overwatch League after a bit of a hiatus, but this is the Birdring we were hoping to see, and I think he's even going to level up further from here.
Yes, and with Boston taking this win, maybe they'll be able to rival Florida for that second seed, because Boston right now, before the update, are in third seed, and Valiant continue to fall further and further, but it's not a zero. They still have one win, just not against this team. But there's still one more match yet to go. Everybody stay in your seats. When we return from the break, it'll be Watch Point, an interview, and more gameplay.
welcome to our Game Break Watchpoint crew here to fill you in on all things Overwatch League. Danny, Jake, and Johnny will break it all down with me, Zoe. And yeah, this was a quick one. You blinked and you missed it.
Yeah.
You guys actually had the utmost pleasure of casting the second map.
Yeah, Boston
Was
took it easy
that
on
the
us.
fastest
Made it quick.
Midtown or no?
I got amped up, Jake. I'm just saying, I casted
You were hyped.
I casted one map, and like my adrenaline shot up, and I had to like catch up to your words per minute,
You're
and I was
riding
just
that high.
going. I was like, I was spitting like I was Uber. Like it was crazy.
I love the talk. So
Like,
catching up to my words per minute is a challenge.
But you know, way more incoherent than Uber. But at least the pace was there, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We brought it. I mean, so did Boston in this series. This was just a beatdown,
Great to see. You
front
can
to back.
True,
Thank you, Zoe. Watch out, Zoe. I'm coming.
2024.
But yeah, I just even here on the Rush comp, right? This we were saying this is the Valiant's hope is playing. And no, you just got slaughtered 100-0. Smurf calling an ambulance, but not for him. That's like the only thing you can say about this series. Birdring and Decay were just, I mean, there's an enormous gap there, but there's a gap across the board. Boston's looks like a team that can threaten Atlanta Reign. I mean, that's the real opponent they're preparing for in matches like this.
Did the chat deliver? Because that's what you wanted to see.
The old chat.
I saw a good
All
amount
chat.
of all chat. It's kind of hard to keep the all chat up when you're getting slaughtered. I don't,
information?
you know.
Who was it? Who said? Who was giving out Lee Jae-gon's date of birth and everything?
Was that a liar?
Liar might have done.
Liar?
I mean,
I like the Valiant because they're real. You know, they're real. They're
I like that.
We know we're underdogs. We're gonna play attack to like reduce the map time. Like we're gonna
Appreciate
play
that.
this map.
You guys rule.
Get out of here. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna do some all chat. Like they're just cool human beings. That's what I like about it.
it is thoughtful.
They don't
of
take
them.
themselves too seriously.
Yeah, but I mean, they were playing the Winston Tracer Sombra dive mirror, and they were just outclassed. I think at the
What do you
end
do?
of the day, they were,
What do you do? It was one of the matches in Overwatch League history.
It was indeed one of those. And we do have a winner's interview
I do.
ready with Danny as well. Who you got for us?
Any guesses? Yes.
I know it's Lee Jae-gon.
We know.
We all knew. I was.
What you want us to just say? Other players on the
You were gonna say it anyway.
Well, anyways, hey, the man is here. Lee Jae-gon.
Hi.
Hi, Lee Jae-gon. 안녕하세요.
Hello, 안녕하세요.
All right, he says hello. He says hello to you guys.
안녕하세요.
Thank you.
There you go. 자, 다들 안녕하시냐고 여쭤보네요. All right, let's get this interview started. I mean, this was a quick 3-0 for the Boston Uprising. Were there anything during the match today that sort of surprised you or caught you off guard? Or did the matches go as expected for you? 자, 오늘 일단 승리를 축하드리면서 굉장히 빠른 경기였습니다. 일단 이재호 선수가 보셨을 때 오늘 경기에서 좀 의외라고 생각했던 게 혹시라도 하나라도 있었나요? 아니면 그냥 예상대로 그냥 좀 이렇게 흘러갔다라고 생각하시나요?
조금 의외였던 그냥 생각보다 조금 상대팀이 못해서 조금 의외였던 것 같아요. 나머지는 딱히 뭐 별거 없던 것 같습니다.
Right. I think the only thing that surprised me was of how bad the opposing team was. Other than that, it was just sort of, it was just business as usual. The match just went as expected. I mean, we also have to talk about here the Boston Uprising being one of the top Winston Sombra Tracer dive team. Would you say that your team, when it comes to Winston Sombra Tracer dive, that you guys are the best in the league, sort of even better than Atlanta Reign. 자, 또 이제 보스턴 하면 이번에 윈스턴 솜브라 이 다이브를 되게 잘 애용하고 정말 잘하는 팀 중에 하나인데 이재훈 선수가 보실 때도 좀 이 다이브 조합으로 얘기를 했을 때 리그에서 최강이라고 생각을 하시는지 일단 뭐 아틀란타보다도 더 잘한다고 좀 자신하시나요?
자신은 모르겠고 내일 경기를 이제 지켜봐 주시면 그래도 누가 제일 잘하는지 나오지 않을까 싶습니다.
But I'm not really confident to say that we are currently the best, but I mean, I just want everyone to watch out for tomorrow's match, but I think that will sort of decide who is actually the best Winston Dive team in the Overwatch League. All right, that is all the questions that we have for today. Lee Jae-gon, thank you so much for your time, and again, big congratulations on getting the win. 자, 승리 다시 한번 축하드리면서 보내드리도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
감사합니다. Thank you.
감사합니다. Bye.
Thank you and
your Koreans
goodbye.
I can say thank you and hi.
안녕하세요. 감사합니다.
And yeah, and you mumble it too, so people don't realize.
That makes it sound better.
Well, I'm trying over here. What is this
you did
criticism?
fantastic.
You didn't say 감사합니다.
No, I did not.
You gotta stop now. Danny's getting an Danny. I see the vein in Danny's eye twitching.
I'm sorry. I'm trying. I'm trying.
I getting revenge.
Ooh, that
trying.
sounds very different.
Okay.
Either way, yeah, quick chat, quick match. Moving on to bigger and better things. Although he's rough there. Didn't expect the Valiant to be that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that was so BM. It's like he thought they could do better.
Yeah.
Like he, you know, I think even the Valiant, even for me.
Oh, that's a motivation.
Well, no,
I misunderstood.
even for me, like I think the
I got
Valiant
lost in
kind of
translation.
underperformed this series. Like I think, you know, I think even for what we know, Boston's a better team. We know they're the favorite to win. But that was not even close, and there were just like very few fights where Valiant won off of anything other than like an enormous ult bank. And it's just like I would have hoped for just a little bit more. I don't think they're gonna win the series, but I would have hoped for a map capturing a cough point once or twice. You know, is that so much to ask?
No, you and Legion are very disappointed. Not
I
angry,
think it's
but
fair.
disappointed.
I think it's fair.
That is super fair. Now, I hope, of course, our next match will not be disappointing. It is our, let's call it a titles match for the day. Atlanta Reign will face off against the Florida Mayhem. Finally, we've been like itching to finally see that series happening. And after last week, Atlanta Reign finally look maybe not super beatable, but they look touchable at least.
Touchable, I like that word.
You can definitely touch him. And Houston Outlaws did just that. Of course, the Reign came back angry, but, and I have to say that, really, the match they played on the following day against the Toronto Defiant, that was also a close series. So they looked a lot more vulnerable than what we're used to from this very lineup, which has been a scary end boss up until just last week.
Still is. It's like, yeah, it's definitely the end boss of the Overwatch League, and so they're definitely going to be favored in whatever matchup they play anyone, even though they got beat last week, of course, against the Houston Outlaws. So Florida Mayhem is going to be an uphill battle. They certainly bring like a different vibe, the Florida Mayhem, because they can play so many compositions. They can opt into this brawl, and in the pre-show, we talked about the maps, Jake, and how they kind of open up the opportunity for the Florida Mayhem to play this style of theirs.
Yeah, I do think it's a good map pool for Florida. It's gonna basically really put the test on Reign. Like they need to be able to keep up on the brawl comp and also play it at the highest level. Like we know their Tracer Sombra dives are elite, and I think their rush has been good, but it's been the place they've had the most issues, whether it's the comp, whether it's their execution. So for Reign, I hope that that's what they've been in the lab on, since they knew this map pool coming into the match too, right? I think they have to be prepared that Mayhem is gonna do just that. They're gonna bring the Mayhem, play tons of comps, and make it really hard for you as Atlanta. So Atlanta, they've got to be solid. They've got to know their rush, frontwards, backwards, side to side. Mayhem's no easy opponent.
I feel like Johnny looked like he wanted to say something, but I was just like staring. No, that's okay. I just wanted to give you the space, and then we just looked at each other.
I'm very
so that was a
excited,
little awkward.
He's a passionate.
He's so passionate.
Glance.
I want to take a look at our predictions for this one, because I don't know why, but I feel like Jonathan Snowden may or may not have been picking the Florida Mayhem. That's the vibe I was getting. I don't know, you're getting a lot of vibes today.
What
so
are you,
I felt like
what are you talking about? What do you mean me giving off vibes?
Johnny's got the
What are you
Ouija board
talking
out.
about?
Get the Ouija
Am
board
I
out.
radiating vibes or something? What's going on?
Some aura.
Please
the
explain.
spirits around here
The
today.
spirits around me. You sound like a crazy person, Zoe.
Really?
Yeah, you're saying the spirits around me.
Yeah.
Are you?
Have you heard you're in charge to the London, no, not to the London match, to the Valiant Boston match?
Yeah, I had a feeling the vibe was off, but we all have vibes.
Very off.
There's a long way between vibes and spirits, Zoe.
Is it
So I just like to make it clear, are you feeling spirits in the room? Are spirits with us in the room right now?
Is there anyone in the room with us right now, Zoe?
Yeah, I see a big red bird who's gonna absolutely stompity dump the Mayhem. So my prediction, as per usual, Atlanta Reign, Kaká, indeed.
Same, Atlanta Reign, but I think this one's going to be a close one. I think Florida, they're a team that likes to, do something crazy at times, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if Florida gets a win as well.
I went with Atlanta Reign too. I think they still have to be considered the favorites, although we haven't seen Mayhem take the matchup against them, so maybe Mayhem's sort of unique comps. I've got Florida winning one map in this series. Wouldn't be shocked to see two, but I would be shocked to see Atlanta go down.
Mayhem beat Outlaws, Outlaws beat Atlanta.
Hey, what's your Fred?
Johnny, give us the Mayhem, Fred.
No, I got the Atlanta Reign as well. I would not be surprised if Mayhem wins Antarctic Peninsula. Really good map for them to keep the series off. But I think Atlanta Reign, they're going to close it off on Colosseum push. They got Dorado in the pool. Like, come on now.
I think Houston just played insanely well. We can't even criticize Atlanta. That's all I think.
Somehow, some way, Jake managed to turn this into Houston are great. I don't know how.
That's just for you guys.
I appreciate the hustle there. 19% of our chat thinks that the Mayhem got this in the bag, but regardless of the Atlanta Reign dropping a match, against the Houston Outlaws. They are still the favorites. They are still the team to beat. Let's see if the Mayhem can get it done. And for all the action, we're going to bring in our A game as well, which are, of course, Mr. X and Uber. Ready for
this? We're going to cook, baby. We're cooking. Let's go. I feel it. Why? Here's my question. We did this whole thing at the start of the show about like the map pool favored the Mayhem. So like this kind of gave me a little bit of hope. You know, I mean, maybe like sandbagging for the Mayhem. And then it's all about the Atlanta Rain. Matt, can we get a Mayhem prep from you? What do you think?
I think the Florida Mayhem can definitely win this series. I'm going to be honest with you. I checked the schedule. We got Vegas Valiant tomorrow. I was like, man, that is going to be a banger. And then I was like, wait, we got Atlanta, Florida as well. I actually think, Florida could actually end up taking this series, like one that goes the distance. We saw Atlanta fall last week to Jake's Outlaws. So we know it's possible. He didn't pred. That's true. I feel like Zoe, like Jake's relationship with the Outlaws, like is Zoe's relationship with the Reign. I feel like she's never picked against the Atlanta Reign either. But I definitely think this is winnable for Florida. I think they find themselves obviously in that 4-team kind of mix, right? I think with Boston, Atlanta, Houston, and themselves.
My personal prediction is Hawk is going to win a map in this. He gets sucked in. I feel for the guy because I think it was against like the Defiant as well, right? Hawk often gets brought in for like your Circuit Royales and other maps that maybe require something non-Winston. And
so you're not going to predict the series. You're just predicting that Hawk is eventually going to play and win.
I think Atlanta will win. I think Atlanta will win. And I actually think that Atlanta can win a map in a rush mirror if they play it. That is like my kind of out there prediction. I reckon they've been cooking. They've been on the tools, as we say back home, Matt, as you would know.
Right. Yeah.
So but again,
they've been with their VB long necks and the tools, right? They've been cooking it up.
I see it's gonna be a long day on the tools for all of us here.
A few prawns on the Barbie.
Yeah, you got it right. Oh, I was corrected you the wrong way. Johnny towered over this map set earlier in the day, pointing out that, of course, a number of these maps definitely lend themselves towards like a rush style. However, sub-level obviously is a good stage for Winston at times. We see a lot of teams go for that. Still plenty of Ramatra, brought onto this stage as well. We see Donghak here for the Atlanta Reign, so we have a decent idea of what they're going to be looking for. Florida get touted as this hyper-flexible team, right? Someone can kind of do anything, but Matt, there's going to be some points I feel where Florida are going to have to play dive and mirror Atlanta Reign, and if they don't win there, they don't win the series.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to. You feel like on some points. We'll see actually kind of like how Florida, attacks that type of dive, right? Like you see someone on the Winston now, we know he's great at that. Like how do we kind of see the DPS kind of fit into the mix? So Atlanta, I don't think it'll be very surprising what we see them come out on, as Florida does have some options here.
Okay, here come the Mayhem. Do you have Hanzo trace? The Hanzo.
Yeah, I mean, what the Hanzo, Sonic kind of like, and pick out lit maybe a little bit, but really it's just trying to use the insta-kill potential on some of these squishies, right? It's just about hitting those like headshots close range, pretty much.
Stalker knows he's playing outside of Merit's line of sight here and keeping someone at bay. Lip's been able to sneak in here, put pressure down on Rupal, who's going to bio-nade oneself. Lip whip shot away, but he really sticks around. He doesn't translocate nearly as early as you'd think. Someone eventually able to come out of that hidey hole though and find the kill on Fuel. It's a great opener here for Florida. And Merit does find that elusive pick.
Yes, I mean, Donghak takes a ton of damage there from Merit on the way in, and on the way out, it's someone putting down some damage and then able to finish him off. So Florida will actually get control of the point first here.
Interesting. I do hope we can continue to see like how this Hanzo plays into this dive mirror. Again, Atlanta can do a lot when they can play around that EMP, but at this rate, it's a little ways away. Lip only about halfway there. We see Donghak start the dive yet again. Checkmate looming with that pulse bomb in the back pocket. Okay, we see a counter dive there towards someone by Donghak. That Bionade's going to make it hard for someone to stick around. Oh, couldn't get him back up. That hurts.
I think he was going to go with the nano, but he had obviously the effects of that anti-grenade, right? So wouldn't have gotten the healing benefits. Just waited a little bit. As soon as the effects fell off, that's going to be a nano now on to Checkmate as they really want to invest and hold on to the point.
Well, Rupal knew he was being shot at by Fielder, man. He just couldn't afford to look at him. He had to keep his eyes on Checkmate and at least part with that, nano boost before he went down. So he knew what he had to do there. Merrick got to get traded out. He's able to find Stalker with a apparently random headshot. to the high ground now. Donghack to duel once more with someone. Chorong has a rally. Someone needs to get inside that. But an EMP on that low ground means the way is open for Lip to work. Chorong out of the picture. Someone a little bit low. Hack briefly, but has a primal rage available. Lip will take this opportunity to build towards his next EMP.
Oh, you're gonna have a Dragon Strike here come in from the spawn as both teams just kind of throwing everything at this. But I would feel like, what, Florida, you know, dumping some of these ultimates in is gonna get an extra, you know, 25%. It feels like the issue is you know, Atlanta obviously flips a point, and now they have double support holds, so they should be able to hold this for at least another fight or two.
We understand now why we saw a Dragon Strike from spawn here. It's going to be Florida falling in line with the meta that's been dictated over the last couple of months. It'll be Merit switching over to the Sombra here. Lip will be ahead on this next EMP at this rate as well. Checkmate, though, looking to try and keep eyes on Stalker, but he has eyes elsewhere. He dives in with Donghack. And still someone able to deal with Lip. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I mean, they use a nano on a Donghack, and then Lip and Stalker are there going in deep as well, but they end up losing Lip. I mean, this is a huge opportunity for Florida.
I have no idea how that happened either way. To the high ground goes Donghack here as Checkmate takes up residence on the point itself. Pulse Bomb deployed, but will go awry. Here comes Gio stepping up with the rally. This could be a turn here for the Atlanta Reign. They still have point control, and they've got rid of Chorong at the start of the fight. The hack came in on Checkmate, and there was nothing he could do. His attention was elsewhere. And so the Atlanta Reign win a second one in a row, and Lip will have that EMP for the next.
Yeah, I mean, it's the benefit of having those double support ults at the time, right? You know, Chio is able to actually pop that rally on the point, keep everybody topped up as much as possible after they use the nano way earlier. So Florida comes back. You're going to be walking into this EMP. Maybe you can actually have RuPaul get the nano onto someone a little bit earlier. You know, he can go in and cause some chaos.
You have to think it's going to be a defensive setup here for the Reign. Lip, though, wants to catch someone after he's dived in. Okay, just a hack here. So now they're going to pile it on top of you. Bubble is there, but they just circumvent it. There's the nano. Lip may be hoping to draw that out of RuPaul at the start of the fight. Atlanta have control, and that was really just used to keep someone alive, so the EMP comes in after the fact, and Donghack's going to be able to take someone out of the game. And now Florida not working with very much at all. Chorong goes for the rally here, but it was really just to back away. Lip from the higher ground could be a nuisance. Merit's EMP is here. Is someone in position to follow up? Donghack wasn't even hit by that one, but he just misses out on getting his primal up in time. So he'll fall. There's a real window and opportunity for Florida now to capitalize, and so they will.
Yeah, they should be able to take the point off the back of this, and they do. They do end up flipping. So Florida, you'll have the Primal Rage, you'll have Checkmate's Pulse Bomb. I think you're really looking at Checkmate to hit a big Pulse Bomb here, right? If he can connect with Chio or Fielder, right, you know, early on in the fight, could be massive. Oh, they got Fielder weak.
He's in trouble. Yep, packed. Both plays on Checkmate. Okay. Turns around and says, I had something prepared just for this occasion, Chio. Both backliners down now to the Tracer here, and this is how Florida wins the round. It's going to be Donghack with the Primal Rage, buying as much time as he can. He is hacked. He's going to be brought to bear. Just able to get back to the rest of his team, but no one's out of spawn to heal him up, Matt. You're dead right. It's got to happen fast for Florida before these reinforcements come in. Donghack able to get back alive. Gio pops around here, and Fielder has it now to a time for the Atlanta Reign to swing things back in their favor. Florida couldn't quite finish the job. From the high ground here, it looks like the Mayhem are going to let Atlanta take control, but look at the health bars! Look at the players now falling! Someone couldn't get away, and RuPaul gets chased down, and golden opportunity goes begging for the Florida Mayhem. And now it's just the last vestiges of this team to try and keep the round going. It's not to be. Atlanta start with a close win.
Yeah, you could start to see that happening, right? When obviously they get the kills onto Chio and Fielder, those are massive. But Donghack does a nice job with his Primal Rage. I believe it was a Lip as well there, able to kind of keep the point rolling because you had both support ults coming off a spawn. The Nano, which Donghack gets the benefits of, and he goes into the back line, able to pick up a kill or two. And then Chio ending up using the rally to just get them you know, pretty healthy as they move on to the point. This is what you were mentioning, right? You know, playing this rush. We'll see how this rush now plays into the dive of the Reign.
Very likely we simply get different compositions here. As Donghack is not someone we know is you know, being excited to pick up the Ramatra mantle. But here we go, coming out of the gates. Icebreaker time. I guess for Atlanta, this is a little bit tricky because there are a lot of chokes you got to filter your way through. I am curious to see how Donghack combines here with Lip and Stalker to get results. Pardon me, sub-level. Labs, rather. Get him right.
Well, man, I mean, they just... He's Lucio's speed. Get right in Chio's face and take him out instantly. He's like a little bit off to the side. You know, they kind of make the assessment that he's alone. So they do a nice job of hunting him down. So at least early on, it looks like Florida going to be able to get control of the point, which this is kind of the same way the last round went. So, if Florida ends up losing this, they'll probably look back at this map and really feel like it was a missed opportunity.
Absolutely. Definitely a tough pill to swallow that previous round. Doghack, oh my goodness, took a lot of poke there. Trying to play out in the open, realized he really had to dive and eventually head back towards the rest of his team. Somehow Lip's able to find RuPaul, though. That looks like essentially a solo kill. No one else involved. Now with the Baptiste out of the picture, it is go time for the Atlanta Reign.
Oh,
and all of a sudden, like dominoes, the Mayhem scatter.
Yeah, I mean, it is both supports gone right away there, as that is a hack from Lip that's going on to RuPaul, and he just burns him down after that. And then the combination of Lip and Stalker just take out Chorong, which no opportunity for the Florida Mayhem to really kind of play after that. So we'll see how they get value out of this Blizzard, right? So many characters with, the speed and mobility on the side of the Atlanta Reign. Like, are you trying to speed boost and maybe go after Chio and Fielder here? Like, what's the angle with this Blizzard?
Maybe play aggressive defensively with the Blizzard rather, and that looks like it's been the case. Doghack, no, he's not going anywhere. Hit with the Biter Grenade, though, defensively. He's getting punched by the looks of things, but it doesn't matter. RuPaul, again, the first to fall in this fight, and that Baptiste is a key vulnerability here for the Florida Mayhem, and it's getting exploited now, 2 fights in a row.
Yeah, and they try and use the Blizzard defensively, right? When Donghack gets the benefits of the Nano and he jumps on in, they try and use that Blizzard to just like lock him in place and take him out. But it's a really nice biotic grenade there from Fielder. Gets an anti on a few members of the Florida Mayhem. Then also, obviously, keeps Donghack alive, really healthy through that Blizzard. So nice plays there by the Atlanta Reign. And look at this, Lip setting up for a big EMP.
Wrong spy checking here, but can't do that forever. Eventually needs to get involved. It might pull the plug here. Yep. Elects to get out of the fight. Atlanta, though, stay pretty safe here. Now Stalker, the next flanker, to take the exact same route. Well, way with Pulse Bomb there. Tough to hit Chorong on the move, though, in fairness. Here's that EMP. RuPaul explodes. Chorong at least is able to get the sound barrier out in time, but they still lose a player. Now going to try and make up the deficit with this Annihilation. Chio dives headfirst into it. Geronimo, he says, and Lip just follows up. Finds those 2 kills, and Lip is having an absolute banger of a round. The Atlanta Reign string yet another one together after a brief cap back by the Mayhem.
Yeah, I mean, they don't feel bad giving the point up the Atlanta Reign, right? They have the sound barrier rolling for the Florida Mayhem and the Annihilation, but they've already killed RuPaul, so they know that once those effects wear off, this is going to be a fairly easy fight for them to win. So they just give the point up for a little bit, wait those ultimates out, and then come back in and steamroll the Florida Mayhem.
Stalker quickly making a target pivot there. Straight into Nemesis form, very early goes Summoner, and he is low. Stalker in the mix, but doesn't see the railgun coming. Travels at the speed of light, technically, so relatively notwithstanding. Tough to see coming. Doghack able to trade at the very least, but that is going to be that for the Reign in this fight. Florida expend a couple of key ultimates here to make sure they get the dub.
Yeah, some nice shots there by Merritt towards the end. So they do end up investing a few ultimates, right, to be able to take the point back. But no, they're still in an interesting spot, I would say. If they get this sound barrier, I think there's a way they kind of win this next fight, because Atlanta's going to come in with a lot, right? You're going to come in with an EMP here, which is pretty much a fight win, right? Like, you see Lip in the overhead. He's probably just going to get like a hack on checkmate. Yep, and maybe just put some damage in. Yeah, that's going to be his EMP. So now that he's got that, they're going to set this up.
Last time, Lip used it simply to pile in on Donghack, or at least hack the Winston, force ultimates in that previous round, and then go for it later on the back line. Lip revealing himself briefly here, needs to be very careful of that insta-kill potential. Stalker forces the immortality field for RuPaul, though, but I don't think Donghack's getting out of there. Atlanta, they're pulling straight away. They do not want to invest any further in this. They've got the sound barrier. And now the EMP comes in later. That's ridiculous. The timing, so hard to predict this. The Florida Mayhem kind of on the wrong foot here. They're pushing in the direction of the Reign. So you see where the idea comes from, but the execution, not there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Lip thought that they weren't going to be able to get back and get a good touch, because you end up losing Donghack, so you end up using that EMP. Maybe you can catch them off guard coming off the spawn, but yeah, that is a round win for the Florida Mayhem, and maybe something you'd like to have back if you're the Atlanta Reign. But thinking about it a little bit more, right? You're switching Donghack over to Doom to try and get back to the point. They're trying to push up, deny you from getting back to it, right? Maybe you can EMP them, get a big one, catch a player or two off guard as they're just running at you. That just does not work out in their favor.
There's a chance as well that Atlanta I guess they may have tracked the sound barrier or were trying to play around it, which is why they disengaged. But there might have been a call from Lip saying, hey, it's now or never. Pop the EMP, go on in after the sound barrier had expired. So the timing's reasonable, but there wasn't enough of a buffer. Now we're actually going to Icebreaker, and it will be the Ramatra for Donghak. It is Atlanta Reign now, opting in to the rush.
Well, who do you feel like has the advantage in this? In this type of head-to-head?
Oh, well, I mean, I did predict that Atlanta would win a Rush Mirror, but with Hawk is what I thought. So I definitely favour the Mayhem here.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we've obviously seen Hawk play, you know, the Ramatra a good amount. It's not like Donghak can't play it, but, you know, we see Hawk come in play like Sigma, play the Ramatra at times as Donghak gets a really low. Yeah, I mean, just a really nice off angle from Merit being able to put down so much damage.
Merit is a dangerous factor here. Can Lit match his impact? We've known him as a dynamic hit scan player.
I mean,
it's a tough ask though.
Yes and no, but I also think that the angle that Merit has here is just so much better, right? Like the Atlanta Reign have to turn the corner around like a pillar and move their way to the point, where Merit can just kind of like use a little central pillar as like a, you know, anchor point, strafe around that. And it is just like free firing straight down. I mean, just a really nice sightline for him to play from.
So, and it will be a slow start for the Atlanta Reign, as they now have to adapt their composition to essentially what the map forces. They're a problem in that last fight, and Atlanta had the same issue, right? Having to peer in from outside of this point, whereas Merit has his pick of the litter when it comes to sight lines. Checkmate also playing in a very flexible spot, ready for a defensive Blizzard. Shouldn't be required. Here it comes straight away, throwing in Ice Block instant there from Stalker, as he had thrown his own Blizzard as well. No one caught in that one. It's going to have to be an Immortality kill here from Fielder, and Lip's able to find Merit. So that head-to-head one out this time by Lip. He's able to play from a very safe spot. No Sojourn here means the Atlanta Reign are happy to drag this on a little bit, as long as they manage to get a cap at the end.
Yeah, as it looks like, well, you're just going to have to checkmate here. Chorong's going to get on here, touch for just a brief second. So Atlanta does end up flipping off the back of that, and a lot invested from the Florida Mayhem, right? Sound barrier, Amp Matrix. So Atlanta Reign now has a, you know, they're set up in a pretty good spot, Mitch, to take the lead here, right? You have Annihilation, you're going to have Sound barrier to work with. You're going to have your Amp Matrix and your Overclock, right? I think if you're Florida, you're maybe relying on Merit building up this Overclock, which he gets now, using it and being able to take out a player or two.
An early pick would have been huge, right? But looks like Atlanta Reign trying to take the initiative. Yeah, Donghak just walks head first into that. Someone had his own Annihilation, of course, but Merit's been putting out a ton of damage over the course of this fight. Lip's going to win out, though, with the Overclock battle, and Atlanta may maintain control here. It's just the May of checkmate, and it'll awaken to the Disruptor shot. That is a massive fight win here for the Atlanta Reign in approximately equal ult economy. The big difference maker will be Chorong's sooner sound barrier, but that is a huge win for the Reign.
I think Atlanta, I think for Donghak specifically, I think what he expected was he used the Annihilation and then thought that that sound barrier was going to come, but it's maybe just like a second or two too late there from Chio as it comes right after you know, Donghak goes down. So they're pretty fortunate, right? You typically lose your tank right at the start. It does not end up being a good fight.
And Matrix here, this is going to force the Mayhem all the way back. Still, Stalker gets picked off, sorry? That's really awkward for Atlanta. They really had to set up there, and now the Reign move on in. Wall up half the team. Checkmate's going to be forcing some hot feet from the Atlanta Reign to get everyone in the fight. It's a terrible engagement for Atlanta.
Yeah, they do get a pretty nice lead, though, right? I know 20% and counting now is Florida. How do you play this? Do you want to play aggressive, right? Maybe play around this Blizzard. You have a huge advantage. You have to know that with Chorong's sound barrier, right? You can play a little bit more aggressive here. You don't have to kind of play on point.
Well, this map well and truly hangs in the balance now. Third round. It's about to be 80-80.
Yeah, look at how Florida's playing this. They're playing aggressive, right? They know they're wrapping. They want to go in with this Blizzard, I imagine. They don't want to, they don't want, you know, you have Blizzard sound barrier. I mean, that's a huge advantage.
Ramatra trying to hop, skip, and jump out, and Donghak is not escaping. So Atlanta in the same position as they were on Labs, Matt. They have to put something together in the next 5%. They've lost Stalker. There's no way they're coming back from this one. We talked about it at the start of the show. This first map, Antarctic Peninsula, lends itself ultimately to the Rush Mirror, and that's where the Mayhem have them pipped. It'll be Florida starting off with a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, and they looked great. And even in the point that they lost, right, where they were playing the dive, it wasn't exactly terrible, right? It's just really nice, you know, stall there from the Atlanta Reign, you know, Dunghack and Lip kind of juggling the point until, you know, their supports come back with ultimates. Because, you know, if they're able to take out like Dunghack, that type of situation, right, and Lip has to stand on the point through the entire time, like they probably win that round.